All right. I need those pliers. I need this monstrosity. How's everybody doing tonight? What's going on? Haven't been here in a couple days. Want this out of my way. I'd actually have crap on all my arm space, tucked into where my armrests are, and I'm the kind of person that just spreads out. And I've got all this clutter that I'm trying to get rid of. Trying to use up all these rings. So, how's everyone doing? My name's Sean. I run mailworks.com. I design and sell chainmail themed apparel and accessories, and I make chainmail. And most people think armor, Lord of the Rings, Kingdom of Heaven, Weta workshops. And yeah, I do make some armor, but the art of chainmail is so much more than just European 4-in-1 medieval style armor, right? This is a chainmail jelly cube, right? To make it, I use a weave called Japanese 4-in-1, right? Fakray J, what's up, buddy? Thank you. You want the cube? A lot of people want the cube. It's fun. But yeah, Japanese 4-in-1 just means that each ring has 4 rings going through it, right? That's the basis of this weave on this large cube here. Each ring on the inside will have 4 rings going through it, right? So this is also a Japanese 4-in-1 chainmail cube. It's just, I used small rings. If you look closely, FA Cray J. Is that not what I said? Or did I say Fakray J? I love you, boo. You're my favorite. So yeah, see these rings on top up here? All these big rings are made from smaller rings. And yeah. My bad, bro. So I've got, let me just pull my stash out here. I've got all of these Byzantine chains. These are all a bunch of individual Byzantine chains. And each big ring should have 4 of them on there. Right? And that is to help hold everything in place. How many large rings do you have on there now? 27. 21 in the first layer, 16, then another 21, then another 16, then another 21. Should be 95 rings total. Right? I have all the large rings, the chains that I'm using to make the large rings, they're done. How's it going, Mech? Alright. So tonight I am just adding these Byzantine chains. We probably won't get through them all. Not the most exciting stuff, but it's got to get done. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate you. Speaking of follows, I had a crazy explosion in a video over on Instagram. I had 300 followers on Instagram. I have over 2,000 now from one video discussing this cube. So that was a nice thing to have happen. I did have my overhead lights here that I'm working with. They went out. So they were fluttering really bad. It was super annoying. But got new ones in. They weren't supposed to be in until tomorrow, but I got them yesterday. Got them installed today. And then this week I've been installing a fence post. Oh, I went searching trying to figure out what was going on with my lights, right? and I found that the outlet that it was plugged into, or the block, the lights plug into a block, the block plugs into the power strip, right? Just like your cell phone, it's just not a USB connection. I reached down and I touched the block, and it was ridiculously hot. So, got the voltmeter out, checked the voltage of the outlet, and it was saying 148, 150. I went and checked all the outlets in my basement, and they were all saying the same thing. I was like, well, crap, I'm going to have to call an electrician. Am I using aluminum for my rings, Andrew? No, these are all stainless steel. Stainless steel and blackened stainless steel. How are you tonight? Thanks for sharing the live. I do appreciate it. So then I was reading up on it, and this has happened before to someone somewhere, and they said, and my outlets were reading 150. They're only supposed to be 120. I changed the battery in the voltmeter, or in the multimeter, and it came back down to 120. So I went out and got some batteries, and then came back, double checked all the outlets, and they're all at 120. And I have two multimeters. It was 120 on both of them. So I'm pretty sure that electrically I'm fine. But oh, and then I bought a thing of like 10 9-volt batteries recently within the last 6 months. And I don't know where they're at. It's like $30 in batteries. Eric, how you doing? Have I thought about the reunion in October? Yeah, I'm probably not going to be able to make it. Got a lot of things going on right now. Doing well, working on male shirt currently. Right on. Andrew, what weave are you using? Are you doing sleeves? For anyone wondering who I'm talking to, I'm live on TikTok over here, and I've got Facebook, X, Twitch, and YouTube in front of me. One day I'll have them all combined. TikTok's got to give me a stream key, which I have met all the requirements for a stream key, but they haven't given me one, and I don't know why. So, all right. The fun thing about this project is you start getting into some really weird angles. Every time I say your name, it catches you off guard. So, there's not enough wiggle room to place these Byzantine chains exactly where I need them to be, so I kind of have to put them in the middle of the ring and then shimmy them down. Glad to see you're still doing your thing. Talk to you soon. Alrighty, buddy. I love you. I'll talk to you later. So, I spent, many of you may know of my trials and tribulations of one of our fence posts. Our fence post, one of the many fence posts, it had broken like last year, and I'd never done anything to fix it, so I spent like 5 days digging up this fence post. And I didn't really know what I was in for. There is, the way our fence posts are put into the ground, there's 6 inches of dirt and then 36 inches of concrete. Right? I didn't know that going in. I had to call the company that installed our fence to find that out. Because I just kept digging and digging and digging, and I wasn't finding the end of this concrete. How easy was the second one to get out? Oh, so I'll get to that in just a second. 4-in-1 European weave using 14 gauge galvanized steel. There you go. I'm not a fan of galvanized steel, but I have worked with it before, and it does the trick. You can absolutely make a chainmail shirt out of it. So the last time I'm sitting here digging out this freaking fence post, can't find the end of this concrete. I'm running out of room to maneuver. Finally, I go and rent a jackhammer, and I jackhammer off all the concrete, and I have this rotten post, right? And I don't have anything to cut it with. So, what do? I light it on fire. Threw a bunch of charcoal briquettes down there, bunch of lighter, grill starter fluid, barbecue charcoal starter fluid. That's the word I'm looking for. And it took me like 2 days to burn this down to where I could get it out of the way, right? Instead of dealing with all of that this second time around, I had to rent a jackhammer the first time. This time around, I went to Lowe's and I bought a little jackhammer, right? And it worked for the crappy concrete that was surrounding these posts. Got the job done. I got the hole dug in a day, about 30 inches down, with the post exposed, and all the concrete out of the way. And then the next day, I went and bought a Sawzall because I didn't have one of those either. And got the rest of that rotten post removed. And it was so rotten. Like, grubs and beetles and worms were coming out of the rotten part of the post that was behind the concrete. They had, like, made their way down from the ground level. Ugh. And it smelled. My lord, did it. It stank. So, anyway, that was my fun this week. I got the second post put up, and guess what? I started taking a look. I was like, that's a lot of posts to be breaking, but my fence is 10 years old. So I start looking at the other fence posts, and they're not in good shape. So I have made the executive decision that I'm going to move to like a metal fence post, and there's like a system now where you have something buried in the ground that you can snap a post onto and then remove the post and you're good to go. So I'm going to look heavily into that if I have to start replacing all of the fence posts. Too much work. Way too much work. But now I have all the tools to do it, so it won't be as bad. It's like, I wish I could just like use my truck to pull the post out of the ground, but they're just too rotten, you know? Like a cherry picker would be cool, but there's nothing for anything to grab onto as far as the post is concerned above ground. Anyway, it's fun. Fun trials and tribulations of home ownership. But the important thing is I got it done. So now I have two posts that don't match the rest of my fence. I wasn't going to go pay $80 for a cedar post, you know? No, thank you. It's like, I'm not poor, but like, I'm not able to spend $80 on a freaking cedar post. Rich, you know what I mean? So anyway, got the post up, got my new lights up, and we are back to streaming. I found out one more thing while I was doing these fence posts. I'm getting old. My recovery time, as far as difficult physical activity, I'm still tired from doing all the work I did. You know? Oh, hey, how's the garden box? The garden box needs to be filled with dirt. That's my next big challenge. That's really the only thing it needs. I should level it a little more because it's the way the materials it's built out of, it's a little wonky. So I'll level it some more and then fill it with dirt, and then should be good to go. There we go. I think I can fit one of these chains through here. I'm running out of room. Nope, that fits. It's gonna work. All right. Can I drive to the backyard? I think I can now. I got a gate big enough for my truck to go through in back. So the issue was that one of the trees separating the backyard from one of the trees, there's like a tree line that runs in between this street and the street behind us, right? So one of those trees was not there, I don't know, 2 years ago, the last time I had the truck in the backyard. And I was doing some cleanup back there in the easement area, and I saw this tree just bent over my neighbor's fence. And I told him, I was like, I drove through there not that long ago. That tree is on its way out. And he went out and took a look at it and couldn't see anything too concerning, except having a giant piece of a tree directly over your fence. But after one of the windstorms that came through recently, that particular tree piece, that tree portion, was touching his fence after the storm. So he took it down. And I think that was the only thing preventing me from getting my truck back there. So we have in our town a little mulch. It's free mulch for those that want it. You can go and take as much as you want. You go and dump your yard clippings off and tree limbs and weeds and whatever else you pick out of your yard. And they'll grind it up, turn it into mulch, and you can go and take as much as you want. So I can load up the back of my truck and then back it up to the garden bed. So, come on. That's cool. Yeah, it's actually been, I used to take my lawn clippings there and dump them off, which was a huge pain in the butt. And now I just mulch everything, right? But I have used their compost pile a few times now. So, like, it's all paid for by city taxes and whatnot. And it's a nice little benefit to living here, I guess. Yeah, that's perfect. It's a nice feature in the city, I'll tell you that much. Now, the last garden bed I had back there was part of a bunk bed. And so I had both bunk beds in the backyard. And I was going to make garden beds out of both of them. But I ended up doing one. And that one broke, hence why I had to make a new one, right? So now I have these two, like, crappy bunk beds rotting in my backyard. And I don't know where to take them. I'm going to cut them up. I guess I'm going to cut them up into pieces and then, like, parse them out. Put a little bit in the garbage can every week until they're gone. I should load them up in the back of my truck and just go find an empty garbage bin somewhere. But I don't. I can call for a large pickup from the city. I can do one a year. But, I don't know. I'll see. Wish your city did that. The dirt you bought for your boxes was expensive. Yeah. I get it. I don't want to buy dirt. But if you build a garden box for your loved ones so that they can garden, and it's 96 cubic feet of dirt because of how big you made the garden box for them, and you don't fill it with dirt, did you really build a garden box? Or, you know what I mean? Hey, Magenta, how you doing? I'm not really worried about getting the garden box filled. Once school starts, you know, I pass the city compost pile every day, taking him to school. And so if I don't get it done anytime soon, then I will just... once he's in school, I'll just start stopping by in the morning and grabbing some dirt and bringing it home. Just popping in for a few minutes. Your new phone came a day early. Woohoo! Right on. Huzzah to new phones. Actually... I hope, okay, did you have to buy a new phone because your old phone broke, right? And you, like, didn't have the $500-600 to get a new phone at the time, but you got to have a phone, so you got to pay it? Or did you want a new phone and you were able to go out and get it? It's not really any of my business, but I did say huzzah to new phones, and then I realized that if it was one of those things where you had to go out and get a new phone because your old one broke and you didn't necessarily have the money, then it's not necessarily huzzah to new phones. You know what I mean? Get some dirt, a 5-gallon bucket. Yeah, get some dirt. I got a blue Lowe's bucket. I broke the last bucket we had doing a stupid video. It's on my TikTok somewhere. I wanted to see if I had some titanium and the ends of the rings had barbs in them. And so I had never used them. I bought them years ago. And I was like, I don't know how to get rid of these barbs. Tumbling it against themselves is not working, right? But I can tumble them with some crushed up ceramic coffee cups and see if that takes care of the barbs. And my theory was correct. It did. It totally got rid of the barbs and made them into workable rings that I made into something. I think I made a dice bag out of them. Yeah, I made a dice bag out of them. Now I'm going to anodize the dice bag and then it'll go up for sale at some point. Yeah, the old one imploded. You bought a replacement on Amazon for less than warranty would have cost. Not the upgrade you want. You'll get that in the spring. Ugh. I'm so against getting a new phone. Knock on wood. Okay. I don't necessarily like my phone or anything. I hate switching over to new phones. Because I have a lot of apps for business. A lot of 2FA requirements for some of the stuff that I use. And it is just a pain every time I switch over. Jack, hey man, do you make the Cuban link change? I don't think I did. Is the Cuban link like a pattern of some kind? Alright. This is... might be easier if we just do this. I've never heard of a Cuban link. But so I have avoided getting a new phone for quite a while. I am going to need one. I am not a jewelry maker. I have made jewelry. Like, I made some of the bracelets I'm wearing. I made my necklace. But I am not, like, a jeweler by trade. Wow, that has grown since you were on last. Hey, Patience, how you doing? Yeah, it's coming along. We're getting somewhere with it. Let me get my freaking hands out of the way. We've got the second layer pretty much done. We're adding the Byzantine strips to each ring, and then... Sure. So, these two I did, right? And then this one, this bottom one I did. And then these two I bought from other chainmail artists. This is King Vipera Berus, and then this is JPL5, which I have never attempted. And, oh, that's something, too. Right? Have I ever made a thing that can make waffles out of bread? No, I have not. Slayer Science, how you doing? Thanks for the follow. Appreciate you. What was I going to say? So today, right, Ukes, the Harley shop in my town, is having a what do you call it, a dealer event. So they set all the motorcycles outside, you sign up to test ride some, and then you go on test rides and whatnot, right? And they got vendors there, and one of the vendors is my friend Masterlink's Mail. His name's Greg, and he's a chainmail artist. And so I was with the kid out running errands today. And we got to stop by and see him, and that's where I got this JPL5 bracelet from him. So, for anyone on all the other platforms besides TikTok. It's pretty cool. I like it. Nice pieces of metals. Yeah, these are all stainless steel. So, but yeah, I was out doing freaking errands today. I had to take some clothes to Kohl's to go to the Amazon kiosk to return them, and the email that the wife sent me did not have the image I needed. It did not pop up, right? So I could not send off her return. I had to get her to screenshot it and send it to me. So now I got to go back to Kohl's tomorrow. Tomorrow my kid's getting braces. Is that tomorrow? Yeah, so you're good getting your workspaces set up and actively moving stuff out of your store. Oh, there you go. All right. You just can't say anything on the internet anymore, Magenta. All right. Why am I messing with this? I don't really need it. This one's on the outside. There's a little more room on the outside ones. Okay. Fix it later if I need to. Alright. So all these inner four have their Byzantine rings on them to hold them in place. And it's getting quite solid. Right? One ball bearing so far. It will go right there. I don't want to put it in just yet, but... Alright. So for this section, right, there's 16 rings in this layer, and each ring gets 4 strands of Byzantine. So that's, I needed 64 of these, right? I had to add, so it's going to be 21 with 84 strands of Byzantine. 16 with 64, 21 with 84, 16 with 64, 21 with 84, right? And that's, all right. Magenta, have a good night. Is that to help keep the shape? Yeah. It's to help hold everything in place. And then it allowed me to put captures in. And so I threw some captures in there, hence the ball bearing a minute ago. So, and you won't really be able to see the bearings at all. And you're like, oh, so why did you put them in then? Because it makes the piece more rigid, right? And it adds weight. And you're like, oh, well, why would you add weight to it? It's already going to weigh 80 pounds. It might. And that's so people aren't encouraged to pick it up. Because the reality is that physics is a reality. And so I can only make this so large until it starts to tear itself apart. I don't think I'm anywhere near that. But at 80 pounds, we're probably getting close. I don't think it's going to weigh quite 80 pounds, but it's going to be up there. It's already over 10 pounds here. Yeah, don't slip. Pliers slipping can be dangerous. Yeah, the ball bearings help make it gives it less room to move, right? It takes up the negative space and just helps make it more rigid. It's not moving very much already. So I'm not too concerned, but you know. Kevin, what's going on? I'm doing all right, getting some work done. I got a ring stuck here. I'm gonna have to take that out. What in the world? Anyway, so as of right now, I keep saying that it's just going to be 3 rows on each side, right? And I think we've all probably realized that I'm just lying to myself, and I'm going to make it larger than that. So my guess is that the final ring count in this will be closer to 94,000. It's just going to take some time to get there. There we go. The original plan was for 15,000 rings, 15,960 rings. It was just going to be the big sandworm rings, right, making up the cube. That was a lifetime ago. This project has evolved so much since then. Thanks for the follow, appreciate you. It is now, what, 6 times larger than what it started out as? That's fine. This is fine. It'll be fine. Come on. Goodness. I love it when the angles make it so that you're threatening your very life trying to get these rings closed. Yeah, but way cooler too. Yeah, I think so. I think it'll be like ridiculously cool by the time I'm done. Just got to get it all to work together nicely and for it all to coordinate. And, you know, there we go. Like, look, it can stand on its own. I'm not touching it. How many hours do I have into it so far? Not quite 200, I don't think. I have a lot. I don't know. People ask me that question, and I'm almost 100% certain I don't give the same answer every time. I can do the math to break down, like, at 200 rings an hour, how many rings do I have done? There's 27 big rings, and what's 84 plus 64, right? 148 small Byzantine strands, and I know how many rings are in each one, and 148 times 70 is X number of rings divided by 200 equals so many hours, right? I think I've actually done that on stream, but the reality is I don't remember the last time. I don't remember what I said the last time I had someone ask me that, but I think it's 200, less than 200. I don't remember. This will probably take me 500 hours, right? And not all of that is working on building this. A lot of that is fixing these blackened stainless rings. That's been the biggest difficulty. The most time-consuming thing. I'd be done as long as I'd be done if I didn't have to fix these little rings. Probably. I'm guessing I'd be done. But it is what it is. Come on. Where's the end of that? There you are. All right. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate you. As long as it stays a 3x3. I don't know. I think we'll see. Got my calculator up? I do. 945 divided by 200. Yeah. So at 94,500 some odd rings, it's 472 hours at 200 rings an hour, right? So, of course, you take breaks and whatnot and keep going, So it's not perfect math, but it's as close as I'm going to get. So, come on. There we go. Getting these oriented the right way is a pain. But it looks really cool when they are all like facing the right way. Anyway. Okay, so yeah, got to go visit a fellow mailer today. Bought a new piece of jewelry, and I was in my truck with my kid. I'm gonna take the bike out probably Sunday, and show him the saddlebags. I got a lot to do tomorrow. Kid gets braces. Day after that, I gotta mow the lawn. But I could probably go on Saturday and then mow the lawn on Sunday because it doesn't really matter. Just as long as I mow the lawn. I'm just tired of working outside. I still got to cut the fence post because it's sticking up above the fence a few feet, and cap it and finish filling in the hole that I put it in. So there's still a little bit more work to do, but it's fine. It'll get done. None of it's a rush. The post is in and the fence is up, and the dogs can go back out in the backyard again. And I don't have to worry about them. Where was I working? Right there. Okay. And you know what's more fun than replacing a fence post? Is doing it with my neck. For those of you who don't know, I am a 100% disabled Army veteran, right? And I have pieces of my cervical spine in my neck that are, they're wildly out of place, right? I was picked up by another soldier, my boss. We were grappling in preparation for a competition, and we were in training. And he picked me up and threw me, like hip tossed me, and I landed right on my head onto basically what is a gym floor. So I get like all kinds of fun migraines, and I got a pinched nerve in my neck. So going out and dealing with that and dealing with a fence post was a ton of fun. I'm just glad it's done. I didn't waste time. It's like I was not expecting to spend $400 on a jackhammer and a sawzall and supplies to replace the fence post, but I'm glad I bought the tools because they made the job so much easier. You know what I mean? All right, come on. Loosen up. What are we stuck on? All right. Come on. That one doesn't want to move. It's not the end of the world if it doesn't, but... Alright. We'll move on to a different one, because I will go back through and... I don't want to sit here on stream and struggle with this, you know what I mean? I feel like it's kind of rude to viewers. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but... I'm sure you'd rather watch this thing come together than me do all the nonsense associated with putting it together, you know what I mean? So fence post, meeting other chainmail artists, getting that done. Yeah, pretty good week overall. So I've got an electrical outlet that I got to replace on the outside of the house. And I don't know anything about gutters or putting them up, and I'm not petrified to go up on the roof, but I have this downspout that pours over my garage whenever it rains. And yeah, we've got water has seeped through the garage roof, right? Not a lot, not enough for insurance to cover it or for them to be too concerned, but they told us what the fix was, and the fix was to put a gutter on the downspout over the roof of my garage, and it should solve the problem. But, you know, like I just mentioned, I already fell on my head once. I really don't feel like falling from the top of my garage. And you're watching Do Your Craft and hanging out at your show. Well, I'm just saying. I do try to be as entertaining as I possibly can. But I'm not naturally inclined to be funny. I wasn't. I was a second child. And I don't know if that has any bearing on whether or not people are funny, but you know how they say, like, the youngest child to get the most attention, it ends up being the funniest? Is my brother funnier than me? Probably. My little brother's probably funnier than me, right? So I'm not... I'm no Robin Williams. You know what I mean? I gotta be as entertaining. I gotta use every little bit of entertaining skill that I have to keep this show going. And I do appreciate you all hanging out. It's fun. You know, you guys make it worthwhile. See, that one moved simply. Picky bastard. Alright, where am I going next? Yeah, see? Okay. I want you to look right in here. Okay? This is kind of what it's supposed to look like. For those on the overhead, can we get that to zoom? Or focus, rather? Okay. I had it, and then I moved it. Okay, but, like, these are lining up. Okay? These are lining up, and there's one in here, and it's just, like, that's... Oh, okay, trying to lift that up. Like, this kind of symmetry right here, where they're all kind of lining up, is what I'm, like, hoping for. You know? I know it's really difficult to see, but it's something that, like, you'd pick up on the pattern in person. So the more I can do to emphasize the pattern before it gets in front of people's faces, then. And of course it does shift and move around a little bit. There's only so much I can do. Right, what time is it? 9:20. We're cruising. We're like, my stash of these, this was double. These are all the strands of Byzantine I made. This was doubled in size at the beginning of the stream. So I'm feeling pretty good about getting worked on. Some streams, chainmail is one of those hobbies where you can work and talk at the same time, right? Unless you're making something particularly complicated. This is not particularly complicated, okay? It looks complicated, but it's really not, right? So there are times when I'm working on, like when I was working on the big inlay that I just finished up, that one's difficult to talk because I'm actively thinking about where the next ring goes, right? This, it's stainless steel and black and stainless steel. Those are my only two colors. They're two different weaves. I know exactly where they all go. I don't have to think about anything, right? So most of the time, you can use your hands to work and talk at the same time. But it's particularly difficult to have a conversation when it's just me sitting here. You know what I mean? So yeah, like, my hands are occupied and my brain is free to join in a conversation. But I gotta stop and read the text. And streaming, in streaming, unless you're hosting a whole bunch of people, right, there's not a lot of interaction. It's a very one-sided conversation. So you know what? I'll tell you one thing. I'm gonna give you my opinion on something. Okay? You see my necklace, my chainmail necklace, right? There are people that make pendants out of chainmail, right? And I think my friend that I saw today would agree with me on this because all of his chainmail necklaces did not have pendants made from chainmail, right? And his chainmail pendants were on, like, leather cords, right? I don't know, because my thought process on all of this is that chainmail pendants on chainmail necklaces doesn't look good, right? So, like a regular pendant on a chainmail necklace looks good, and a chainmail pendant on a non-chainmail necklace looks good, but you can't have both pieces be chainmail and have it... Not that it looks terrible, but it looks better when you have one or the other that's not chainmail, right? And I'm not... This is just my opinion. I'm not some fancy jeweler style artist, right? But I do know that chainmail never goes out of style. That's why I have a whole clothing company dedicated to making chainmail designs and having them printed on clothing. Because it's, for 2,000 years, it has been in style. I need to find... a historical... What do you call it? Documentation. I need to find some historical documentation to find out if chainmail was used in any capacity in Korea, Vietnam, or Iraq and Afghanistan, right? I was probably the only guy in Iraq who had a chainmail shirt he was working on while I was over there. So that's probably the only time that there was ever chainmail in Iraq, right? In modern times, okay? Because I know that since, like, I don't know, 2 AD, actually no, 900 AD, right? Until World War II, most battles probably had some kind of medieval armor in it, a lot of it being chainmail, and then like the lamellar and whatever all the other crazy different armor styles there are out there, right? But chainmail came up, what, 1,000 years ago? Okay, and it's been consistently used in combat up until World War II, right? In World War II, they didn't, nobody, like, I guess there were some masks that people wore to protect from, like, grenade shrapnel. But I think that was World War I. It was more a trench warfare kind of event. It might have been World War II. I don't know. I don't remember. But harbors and ships were protected by nets of chainmail to help ward off torpedoes. Right? And so I think that's cool. I want to find out if there was ever any examples of it being used in Korea or Vietnam, because that would mean that the long, proud history of chainmail being used in battle would have continued up through those conflicts. So, anyway, I don't know. I don't know of any. I just know that, for almost 1,000 years, right, you probably had chainmail in many of the conflicts, all the way up until World War II. And I think that's kind of neat. See, it's funny, the ships that they had the chainmail netting on. Oh, we got the puzzle piece of death. Hang on. Well, I mean, it's got to show up if you're going to let me keep going. Come on there. There we go. So, in regards to the ships, right, they had these big nets, right, that they would suspend up all around the ship of chainmail, and it looked like a fishing net, right? But what it was these big nets of chainmail that they would lower into the water. They could even cruise with them while the chainmail nets were down, because, you know, chainmail has got a lot of holes in it. Doesn't cause too much resistance, I guess. And what it was for is deflecting torpedoes, right? So that practice didn't last very long, right? Because what the who would it be? The German U-boats, right? My understanding, and I'm not a historian, so don't quote me on this, but my understanding of what they did is they just put like a type of scissors on the front of the torpedoes, and it cut through the nets, and then they stopped using chainmail nets. Korean chainmail was popular for face masks back in the day, 250 plus years ago. I don't know if I've ever seen a Korean chainmail mask. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, historical Asian chainmail is, well, I'm working on essentially what a pattern based off historical Asian chainmail. So this Japanese foreign one here, and I'm not gonna lie, I know more about European style chainmail than I do. Well, okay, historically, I don't know a lot about chainmail, right? Just what I've read and picked up over the last 28 years, and I never went and verified any of it. The torpedo net story is true. There's like Wikipedia articles on it, but I didn't go into the sources on that and verify that the primary sources were used or anything, right? So anything I say could be potentially wrong. I know a lot about the materials and the weaves that we use today, and even there, I'm not an expert, right? So take everything I say with a grain of salt, and just know that it's just stuff that I picked up from doing this channel and working on with this stuff for the last 28 years. All right. Hey Corey, how you doing? Just kidding, love your stuff. Did you say something else? It didn't pop up on here. But thank you. I'm liking this stuff. It's coming along, man. It's coming along. Yeah, I only have the one comment from you, Corey. But, yeah, anyway. So I know that aside from hobbyists who make chainmail, there are other structural applications, right? Large chainmail nets are used as erosion barriers all around the country on the side of mountains to help keep rocks from falling. One of the guys from Weta Workshop, the people that did Lord of the Rings and Kingdom of Heaven, and all the chainmail in those, his name is Kane, and after working at Weta, he went on to make something he calls cane mail, which is some kind of plastinized production process to make giant sheets of plastic chainmail, and they use it to keep like parking garages cool and skyscrapers, right? They're like a curtain that won't block out all the light, but will, you know, reflect some of the light and some of the heat. And so I think it's cool that we still use it today for cool stuff, given its history. And then, of course, there's the ever-present hobby of making this stuff. And, that's a blast. Wow, that really went somewhere. In 2012, South Korea wrapped the building in chainmail. It looks crazy. Let's see here. The only building I've heard was the Hell House. 2012. Let's see here. Look at that. Okay, everybody should go and Google, what were my search words? 2012 Korea chainmail building, and then come back here. That's kind of cool. I guess it's an art gallery. I didn't read the article. I'll research it and talk about it more later. I'll probably do a video on it, actually, because that's kind of my shtick. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you for that. I'll have to look up Korean face masks, too. And I should do more videos on just, like, the difference between chainmail and different cultures, right? But, like, medieval Europe, you have a lot of riveted chainmail. You have solid rings, and then you have butted rings, like what I'm using here to make this, right? Butted rings are not used in a lot in medieval Europe because, well, they're weak. Riveted was much preferred. But if you're making a quick fix on a battlefield, it's better than nothing, right? India, lots of butted chainmail in India, right? In medieval time periods, okay? And they produced a lot of what we would consider today to be costume armor, right? And they would wear it in their parades, and I believe they had a lot of, I want to say, I don't remember if they're painted or how they're, I don't remember how they added color. But they did somehow. I think it was just them being painted. I could be wrong. I don't remember. So you go from there, and then you get to examples of Chinese, Japanese, and other Asian styles of chainmail. And it's one of those things where there's not necessarily any person who brought the idea of chainmail from medieval Europe over to Asia, East Asia, right? It just turns out that, like, using small pieces of rings connected together is just kind of useful across all nations. Which, okay. This is the chain cube. This is one of them. Talking about this one, because I haven't worked on this one for a while. Right? I need funds. I got to fund this project. And then order the rings. And I don't know when I'm going to be able to do that. But this is like a personal project. This is going on my bar for people to play with when they come over. So it's not a priority, I should say, as far as other projects. Oh yeah, plenty of stuff to do. What time is it? Man, we are cruising. So how are you tonight? Is it O? I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm not going to lie. I think we went through this last time, and I don't remember what you said you like to be called. So, where was I? Yeah, so in medieval Europe, you get the pattern where when someone says chainmail or mail armor, right? You get the crisscross pattern of rings that all lay flat, right? And it looks really cool. And then you go to East Asia and you find these patterns that are horizontally and vertically aligned, right? Just like these rings here, right? These rings are perpendicular to each other. And in Asia, they would twist the ends of their rings together to keep them from coming out. So that's kind of a neat thing. They colored it by blacking with nitrates and sulfides. There we go. Right on. Come on. There you go. All right. See, when they all come together, it just looks good. Everything's going to shift out of place, and it's not going to line up as nicely as it does right now, but that's fine. It'll still look okay. Right. Yeah. One of the things about adding material to this and moving it around, like this project is ridiculously large already, right? And it's getting large to the point where like it's starting to physically hurt to move it around, which is totally fun. Now, if you make chainmail long enough, you're eventually going to get like some aches. Definitely stretch. Toppers, how you doing? So I am working on a chainmail sculpture. It's going to be a large cube, and it's going to have several thousand rings in it. And I will explain more in just a second. Come on. Need more light from, like, right up there, maybe? I don't know. Okay, so let me slide this into place. This is a chainmail jelly cube, right? And the pattern used to make this is called Japanese 4-in-1, and every ring inside of here has 4 rings through it, except for the very exterior rings, right? And these are, I just mentioned, oriented horizontally and vertically to each other, right? So I've taken that same concept, that same weave, and I took a bunch of small rings and I made them into big rings, and I started weaving the big rings together into another cube, essentially, right? And this, once it's the size I want, will hopefully one day be on display in a gallery somewhere. And someone will hopefully one day spend a lot of money purchasing it. Cross your fingers, wish me luck. So it's an art project. And it's one of those things that, oh, I don't know who's been here from the beginning, but I mentioned that I had a video popping off over on Instagram from one of the clips of me streaming, right? I never share stuff to Instagram, not nearly as much as I do other places. Mostly because I never, nothing I post ever gets seen by anything. Yeah, these are awesome. These jelly cubes, they're a blast. I like making them. They're a grind to get that big, but I will get confrontational comments on TikTok, right? But usually everyone I interact with is mostly supportive, and they're just like, yeah, that's cool. And then I get a lot of people messaging me asking how to purchase something I've made and whatnot. And there's just a different vibe to those comments over on Instagram. It was weird. It's like they were offhandedly or underhandedly rude. I don't know. It was weird. Just curious what's the price on something like that. Yeah, so if someone were to commission me to make this, I wouldn't do it for anything less than $5,000. Just because it's so much work, right? Would I ever get a commission for that? Probably not. But large cubes like this are not made very often. Okay? Most of them are, this is 16 rows across so far, and I'm taking it up to 20 rows on each side. There's going to be 44,000 rings in this by the time I'm done. It takes an incredibly long time. And it's hard on your body because you're sitting here opening and closing tiny rings, right? So yeah, by the time it's done at 44,000 rings, I probably wouldn't do it for less than 10 if someone commissioned it from me. But right now, $5,000 for this, right? There are smaller ones. There are ones that use larger ring sizes that don't have such an extreme ring count, right? Let me give you an example here. See the two different sizes of rings? Okay, this cube will physically be much larger than that cube, but it won't have as many rings as that cube does, right? This one, I'm going to try and raffle off, I think is what I want to do with it. So, nobody has that kind of cash, right? Just laying around to spend on a project, a play toy, right? But you might have $25 to buy a raffle ticket for one of these, you know? I think that's probably the better way to go for that one. What happened to my music? How'd I fix this the other day? I don't remember. Anyway, hopefully I'll get to that one soon. I'm not too worried about it. I'd like to get it done before Christmas and then have it raffled off so I can have some Christmas money. That is what I'd like. We'll see what happens. But my videos for my cubes have done the best across all platforms. And there are, probably 500-600 people asking for a cube. It's like, I don't have the capacity to make that many cubes for people, but I can give you an opportunity to get one large cube. And I think a lot of people would be like, yeah, you know, I'll buy a couple tickets and see what happens. You know? We'll see. What happened to my music? I don't want to go to stations. See if we can fix this. There we go. That's something. Okay. Alright. Come right out here. I've gone all the way around. The only thing I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I am 3 Byzantine strands short of having enough for all this, which is fine, because this is the last one I'm going to add on to here right now, and then we're going to start building upwards with the next set of large rings, and then we'll finish putting 4 rings on each of these outside rings here when we've got this next big ring in there. Does that make sense to everyone? Is everyone in class paying attention? So, one of the things on Instagram that I did find funny in my comment section was someone called it a waste of time. Like, just, they were like, what beautiful thing are you wasting your time making, right? An underhanded compliment. And people, several people came to my defense and bravely asserted themselves or inserted themselves between the commenter and myself, informing them that it indeed was not a waste of time. So I felt very special that random strangers on the internet were making sure this person understood that it was okay for me to waste my time this way. I think was like the consensus they reached. Okay. Hooray! I'm not going to try and add a big ring today. I don't quite have enough time. But that is the next step, right? Cool. It's starting to look like something. Is anything a waste when it comes to art? Yeah, exactly. When people say, oh, what a waste of time. It's like, do you go tell painters it's a waste of time, or people who draw? No? Then piss off. I'm doing something 99.9999% of the world has never even heard of, much less, could do it themselves, right? And not that I'm special or anything. I'm just saying the chainmail community is a freaking niche community. Do I know the aspect ratio on the SandWyrm rings? No, but I know how to do math. If you ever have an electronic pair of calipers, right, make sure you turn them off. Give me one ring. There we go. All right. Let's see here. No, that's in inches. I want... Okay. I want millimeter. Not that it matters too much. So, alright, somebody write this down. Wire diameter is 1.59. Okay. The inner diameter of the ring is 10. Okay, so 10.55 divided by 1.59. Okay. The SandWyrm rings have an aspect ratio of 6.6. Wait, hang on. Okay. 6.6. Make sure your calipers are off. If you get a kitchen scale, make sure you turn it off, because you'll just kill your battery if you don't. And then I had to go buy a 6-pack of batteries. These are for the kitchen scale. The calipers take a different battery altogether. Batteries. Okay, where am I at? Oh. Jeff, how you doing? My music is gone. Okay. It's going to be 2.8, 2.7, 5, right? Because these big rings aren't round, right? So it's not going to be the exact same as the aspect ratio you would use for a jelly cube, but it's close, right? And for a jelly cube, it's 2.65 to 2.75. So that's what I could be like way off, but I don't think I am. I think you can deduct that since you've made a jelly cube with big rings made of small rings, that it's got to match what you would normally use to make a jelly cube, right? I don't think I'm wrong for saying that. So, but anyway, all right, my music's died. I don't know what's going on. It is almost past my bedtime. So, for anyone hanging out, my name's Sean. I run mailworks.com. I design and sell chainmail themed apparel and accessories, and I stream chainmail and I introduce people to this art form. And, spread the word that you can make cool stuff with some pliers and some rings in the comfort of your own home. You can also make it as complicated as you want, but it does start out pretty simply, and you can just go from there. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate you. So, with that said, if you've been hanging out and you want to support what I'm doing, help me fund some of these projects, if you go to mailworks.com and use discount code livestream, you get 20% off your entire order, right? And that's myusername.com. Discount code livestream, all one word, lowercase, 20% off. Get some cool chainmail themed apparel or accessory to add to your fashionable style, because chainmail doesn't go out of style, as we discussed earlier. There's also a coffee you can donate a couple bucks to, and that, like, all that money goes to buy rings for this stuff. So, like I mentioned earlier, I gotta buy the rings for this project. It's like $130 that I gotta spend to finish it. So, if You guys help me, I'm able to finish these, right? Other ways to be supportive. Not everybody has money, not everybody can buy anything, and I appreciate you just being here, right? So taking the time to hang out with me, greatly appreciated. Please follow, like, share, go to my Linktree, follow all my socials. I'd like to build up TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. I'd really like to build up YouTube. So if you only want to follow one social media platform other than the one you're watching on right now, please go like my YouTube channel. I'm coming up, right? You inspired me to start. Your arthritis stopped other crafts and you love it. Check out Chainmail Joe's starter kit. It's a bunch of anodized aluminum rings in different styles, and it comes in a really pretty box. And then there's a guide on there as well. So, chainmailjoe.com. Excellent starter kit. Excellent beginner kit. Right? What else? What else? I'm usually here. If you are considering starting, right? In my Linktree over on TikTok and on the main page of my store is the Mailworks app. And inside there is a list of resources. All the resources that I'm aware of that I could pack into the app that I wish I would have had when I first got started 28 years ago, right? If you're in Australia, check out Aussie Mail, AUSSIEMAILLE. I think they got a YouTube channel. Damon, how you doing? I'm assuming you mean this cube. Aussie Mail has a lot of tutorials and makes a lot of cool stuff over on YouTube, and their Facebook's pretty lit. So check them out for sure. I don't know all what like beginner kits or supplies they provide. I don't know if they provide any at all. I don't remember, but I do know they exist, and they're good people. Yeah, so please go like all my other socials. I would greatly appreciate it. Liking, following, and sharing has definitely got me the furthest. So if you, what's the word? If that's the only thing you do, right? Don't feel bad about it at all. I really, really, really appreciate it, and I mean that a lot. So thank you all for hanging out. I'm usually here 8:30 to 10 most nights of the week. I did just like have to stop for 2 days to put up my fence post, change out the lighting because my lighting went bad. But other than that, usually here chilling, working on projects. So come back, and get an update on the progress that we're making on all these ridiculous projects. All right, with that, I'm going to get out of here. You all have a wonderful evening. I will talk to you all later. Bye. Oh, and next time I will try to make sure that my music keeps working. I don't know what's going on with them. Bye-bye now.